I don't believe in methadone. Ours is holistic. Because if I'm going to take you off, I'm going to take you off. I'm not going to give you a substitute for you to continue to get high, and then I defeat the whole purpose. And we're with NAMI as far as dealing with that, and which is an awesome group. Veterans Court, and okay, they're going to talk about all that. Pretty much that's what I'm still standing about. It's a school that is serving the community. They, like I said, they help them to be better, do better, and want better, to let them explore all the possibilities that no one has ever given them the opportunity to even explore. And that's why it's called I'm Still Standing. You have any questions? Anything else? Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Perkins. One of the main things that we're holding this press conference for is the fact that we are officially responding to a report that was put out by the Office of Inspector General in reference to what was going on with the school. The report was put out on April the 14th, 2021. We encountered them, first of all, back in December of 2020. The former mayor issued an eviction notice for one of the tenants in the building. And that's what initiated their investigation. We met with them. They kept saying that we're not investigating. I'm still standing. We're trying to investigate what's going on in the school. However, we certainly felt that we were being investigated based on the information that they were requesting. After the investigation, they issued this report. And the report specifically says, and the report is available on the webpage of the Inspector General, but I'm going to read portions of this so that you can understand why we have to respond. Specifically, the complaint arose from the MPD eviction initiated by a former mayoral administration as one of the two nonprofits, there are two nonprofits in this building, was evicted. Further, the complaint cited concerns of the lack of oversight by the Department of General Services and the Comptroller's Office of Real Estate in securing lease agreements with the two nonprofits. The issue is we've been in this building since 2018. And during that time, we have been trying to secure a lease agreement with the city. Initially, according to our right of entry, we were supposed to secure the building at $1 for an annual rent, and then we would take over all of the maintenance and utility bills. And in their report, they acknowledge that fact, but they also say in their report that they wanted to, later on, they wanted to charge us $1.85 per square foot. And when you just do the calculations, short calculations in your head, $1.85 per square foot for the building that's 67,000 square feet. The other tenant operates 6,700 square feet. So that would leave us with 60,000 square feet at $1.85. That is an enormous amount when you consider that that was not what was put on the table at first. And we've been trying to secure this lease for some time now. We've done 4 sustainabilities, provided information in terms of income, grants, information on the memorandums of understanding, who we want to partner with, information on all of the trainings that we want to bring into the building, and We provided taxes, we provided insurance, we've provided all of the documents that are necessary for the Department of General Services and the Comptroller's Office to provide us with a lease. Now, unfortunately, in this investigation, they say the OIG office said that in talking with the Department of General Services, we have not turned in all of our documents. How are you going to do 4 sustainabilities and not at any time supply all of the documents that you need? That's if you have 4 opportunities to supply documents, certainly if the Department of General Services was not satisfied, they could have asked for additional information. We have emails from the Department of General Services where they say, we think this is all we need. And that is documented in emails from their office. They acknowledge the fact that we're supposed to get the building for $1, but the Department of General Services never requested the $1 rent. And we have been floundering in a building which now they say we have cost the city thousands of dollars because they were not able to secure a lease. The problem is the Department of General Services and the Comptroller's Office has not followed through in providing a lease so that we could take over the utilities and the maintenance of the building. Now, there is a situation that has occurred. COVID hit. COVID meant that we had to shut down the building. We are a private courier school, so we had to adhere to school regulations in terms of the shutdown. That meant that we had to put off all of the build out for the classes that we were intended to bring in. And not only that, we were under a cease and desist order by the mayor's office that no work could be done in the building until a lease was secured. We adhered to that, although there were other tenants in the building who did not adhere to the cease and desist order. I'm not here to speak about what they did. I'm here to speak about the fact that we complied in every manner to what the DGS and the Comptroller's Office had us to do. And because of that compliance, we have lost ground, and we have sent a letter to the Comptroller's Office asking that we would be able to get at least a 2-year forbearance to do our build out to bring in the revenue that is necessary for us to operate this building and to pay for the utilities and the maintenance. We still want to do the $1 a year rent and take over the utilities. That's not an issue. If you look at our figures that we presented in our sustainability, we will have enough dollars to take care of the utilities and to take care of the maintenance of this building. But because of the pandemic and because of the delay in allowing us to build our build out, we now are in a position where we have to play catch up. And we've let the Comptroller's Office know that. One of the other issues that has arisen is the fact that in the OIG's report, they say that we have violated our terms of the right of entry because there was another party that was in the building at the same time we were in the building, and that they did not know that they were in the building. Well, we have emails that show that not only they were authorized to be in the building, but we even tried to, with the Department of General Services, to get upgrades in the building done so that they could operate in the building. So it's not like they weren't aware that the entity, which is our incubator, wasn't in the building. And so that's an untruth in terms of, and we have a memorandum of understanding from that partner that's in the building. The original agreement, there's a conversation that was had with Terrence Jennings, who was the manager for the surplus schools. And the question was to him from Ms. Perkins, hey, on the sustainability agreement, it stands that it stands the same right. I'm doing the budget, responsible for maintenance and utilities. The agreement stands like it was with Rayner Brown. Now, Ms. Perkins also indicated that we were first in another school, Rayner Brown, which was destroyed by vandals. When they shopped us into this school, the question was asked, is the agreement going to be the same? And the response was, I take that back. My rent was $1. Is that correct? And the response from Terrence Jennings was $1 agreement, and you guys would be responsible for everything at the building. So we have that verbiage in writing, but the city has chosen to now try to push us to $1.85 per square foot. Our initial response to that was that what you're trying to do is really to scare us out of space. And I'll come to that as we begin to address the issue of the veterans in their space that the Department of General Services wants to give that space away to another tenant. And we don't want that to happen. We've had a memorandum of understanding with the Baltimore City Veterans Commission in terms of them operating in the building. We have a memorandum of understanding with NABVETS to operate in the building. And under that NABVETS heading, we also have a VSO, which is a Veteran Service Officer who does interfacing for veterans with the VA. And I'll have one of the veterans come up and talk more about that. So it's very important that we address these issues and make sure that the right narrative is out there in the community, and not allow other folks to create a narrative that is not what we are doing in this building. We've been at this for 4 years now, and it's time that we are solidified in this building. One of the things that has to happen is the fact that because of the shutdown and because of the fact that we do not have a lease, partners that bring in equipment and do build out in the building are not going to partner with you unless you have a long-term lease, because where's my commitment? Where's my longevity if I partner with you? And that's something that we want to establish with the city, is a long-term lease, not just a 1 or 2 year lease, but a long-term lease that allows us to partner with partners that are willing to commit to service in this building. It's not just about the building. Those partnerships bring revenue to the building. That revenue also brings us an opportunity to affect change in this community by working with Department of Housing to acquire housing, not only for veterans, but housing that we can rehab and rebuild this community and make this school the center of the community. And that is, all of those plans have been halted because of COVID and because of the fact that we have not been allowed to do the build out. One of the other issues that we must address, and I don't think the OIG office has addressed, is the fact that the building first was initially given to Ms. Perkins, that we would control the entire building. Shortly before we moved in, there was another nonprofit that was authorized to move in by the city. And unfortunately, we're working with adults, we're working with veterans, we have PTSD, we are working with returning citizens, and it is not appropriate to have a youth program in the same building because of safety to the youth. And we've done our research. It is not normally, I've worked in nonprofits, I've worked in adult programs, I've worked in juvenile justice. You do not mix youth with an adult program. And that's something that the city has not addressed as of yet. At this point, I want to address the issue of the city wanting to give the space that we have allotted for our veterans away to the other nonprofit that is in the building. And why they want to do that is an issue that we don't understand, because our veterans are very important. Tiger, if you want to comment, this is the Honorable Tiger Davis, former delegate, also part of NABVETS, and I'm going to ask him to come and speak in reference to the veterans.
Thank you very much. This thing, hey, Bob Guy, if I had known you was here, you could have come up. Ladies and gentlemen, just for your information, I was the first chairman of the Baltimore City Veterans Commission, and that was 2007. And last year, in 2020, I stepped down. I was facing problems with cancer, and I had lung cancer surgery. Then I had a total thyroidectomy. And my replacement, my vice chair, Robert Guy, is here, and he may want to give some remarks. But let me tell you how we started off. We started off when I was selected and assigned the position of chairman. There was a $185,000 budget for us to hire staff, an executive director, and a secretary. Once we came on, the money disappeared because of financial crunch. We didn't even have a building or an office to meet in. What we did, we went to the War Memorial Building, talked to the people at the state, and we took what's called the Robert Watts Room in the War Memorial Building as our office. We recruited volunteers. Rick Lane was our first volunteer executive director, because being military, we know how to adapt. We know how to adapt and make good out of any kind of situation. And so from that particular point on, we had the brother that was with emergency services with Hopkins now, huh? Bob Malone. Bob Malone became deputy secretary. What he did, those departments under him, he asked each one of those departments to scrounge $5,000 to put into a budget allocation so that we could hire a part-time executive director. Now, this has only been for what, the last 3 to 4 years or what have you. Up to that particular point, we were operating without any kind of support from the city. Now, as we move forward, now we provided services. The statute requires, Councilman, the statute requires the city to provide funding. They never have. But we never became political, argumentative, or anything, because we knew we were going to serve our brothers and sisters, one way or the other. And so consequently, what happened is we were providing limited direct services, which include referrals out of the office downtown at the War Memorial Building. And then we saw the light. We saw LaWanna Perkins. LaWanna was seeking a building, first that one over there on Chase Street. And she said, look, you all can bring your operation in here. And then that building was vandalized. Then this building. She told us, look, you all can take the first floor and begin your planning processes for a full service veterans center. And then, of course, after that, the virus hit and everything came to a standstill. But let me tell you what we were talking about. Right now, we've always had a claims operation because veterans, and we're dealing with veterans of the African American heritage primarily. They never get proper services. They have always been discriminated against. Okay? The VA has even recognized that. So the services we provide services for a population that has suffered since World War II. They got the studies coming from World War II. Okay, so that's the claims for them to get compensation for disability. But then there are other services. What about Veterans Court? NABVETS operates a Veterans Court program. We get volunteers to work with veterans who have become involved in the criminal justice system. We need a place to operate. Rick Lane is working with Stan Seidel to complete the study on opiate addiction and overdose, and primarily in the metropolitan area of Baltimore City. We need to work a little harder on that. What about reintegration? The veterans of the city are least likely to get the proper counseling when leaving the military. So one of the things that man is working on is what we call a reintegration program, whereby when those guys at Fort Meade or Aberdeen, or even those who overseas, they know they're coming home. We can provide reintegration counseling and services to them before they get out of the service. So when they hit the home front, they already have a plan together, which means that they are less likely to fall through the cracks. Then there are other services. And, you know, I'm talking to Andy about it and Sean, because the suicide rate of veterans today makes the suicide rates in the regular civilian community look like kindergarten stuff. These are our brothers and our sisters, and we have a responsibility to them. And so will we be able to set up an appropriate counseling program? Hi, Annette does our claims. She's from NABVETS because see, NABVETS has as our commander, Bernard Watts. NABVETS has an agreement with I'm Still Standing and the city, because the city ain't gave up nothing, not one dime to really help veterans in this city. Not one dime. Let me be a little more clear. Not one penny, not 1 cent toward helping veterans to readjust to civilian life. And that is a shame, because all the veterans coming out got educational benefits. They should have re-employment benefits, so on and so forth. But what they need is somebody to greet them who understand what their situation is and who will work with them. That is what I'm Still Standing provides when they provide the Baltimore City Veterans Commission office space, and they provide NABVETS and the 231st office space here. And so I could go on and on talking about, but Sean, let me show me, you have that book I handed to you. Let me show you something. Because in the city, we have a lot of people who have experiences. See this book here? The guns fell silent and the war began. Oh, I'm sorry. The gun fell silent. Reshape it again. You know your piece better than mine. The guns fell silent and the war began. This was written in the early 1980s. One of the forms of therapy we provided in our full-service vet center was what we call writing therapy. Guys had suicide ideations, and they were suffering from drug addiction. So we had them write about their problem. If you got these ideations, tell us what they are. Put it on paper. And so once they put it on paper, they could begin to examine themselves for themselves. And so one of the guys, I didn't see him for about 30 days. And the next thing I know, he came in with all of his writings. And guess what? This guy here now, he's back to 100% health because he did it himself. That's one of the things that we do with peer counseling. And guys like Teddy Black didn't have much of a problem, okay? Teddy had a good, strong family. Talking about his cousin now, right? But the thing is that this center is needed. This center provides NABVETS, the Baltimore City Veterans Commission, the 231st, the Montfort Marine Association. It provides a facility whereby we can begin to provide all necessary services for our comrades. And I'm going to leave it at that particular point. And if there are any questions, I'll be around to answer questions. But if I'm not, you got Bob Gott, the real chairman of the Baltimore City Veterans Commission, and you have Rick Lane. And you also have Chester, who's the executive director, but he's also associated with the 231st. You have Annette Mann, who is the claims representative. If you come in with a disability claim, she will walk you through that claim all the way through the VA. And then if they deny it, she will show you how to get the pill. And also another claims representative is Bernard Watts, who's the commander of the Chapter 53 of the National Association for Black Vets. Bernard Watts was with First Cav in Vietnam. He couldn't read, so they put him in the ground pounder outfit, okay? So anyway, that's my story for the day. God bless you, and I hope you all understand how important this building is to our veterans population. God bless you, and thank you.
Now we're going to have Chester Wiltz from the Baltimore City Veterans Commission to come and speak.
Good afternoon, everyone. I have now been with Baltimore City Veterans Commission now about 15 years now. And to this day, the Baltimore Commission wasn't given anything. And I'm going to be very nice. I'm not going to be nice at all about what the city have not given us. It was a request. If the members of the city, again, will read the charter, it completely spells out the things that we need from the city of Baltimore. But as Tiger mentioned earlier before, we're veterans. We made promises to our veterans to do something for them because nobody was. Not here, just in Baltimore, all over the world. That's our job. When I first started this, I initially was the training. Well, actually, I was a correctional lieutenant at Baltimore City Detention Center. Then I became a training supervisor for Baltimore City DPW, and then I ended up being the president of a union here for 7 years. So I'm familiar with Baltimore. Do not give me political stuff. Veterans don't deal in political stuff. We believe in helping the veterans through political stuff. We haven't received that from the city of Baltimore whatsoever. I met with the deputy mayor assistant this morning to explain some items, and also turned over my entire manual for 15 years of what we've done for the city of Baltimore. 15 years of getting from 1,000 people that started our first parade here in Baltimore. We now service up to 1,000 some people, veterans, citizens. NABVETS, Mountain Marines, the City of Baltimore. No one knows what the veterans do in Baltimore City. Congressman, we invited every member of the city council, every member that sits on the board to come to our parade and see what we do. Not many of the city council showed up. However, the mayor showed up at every one of our meetings to recognize the veterans. I'm sure he's not aware of what we're doing now because the information will not be given to him exactly what we are doing. I salute him because I think he'd be an excellent mayor, but he needs to see this place that's like you and even members of the city council. I came out of retirement because veterans, I walked past, so Crazy John, everybody know Crazy John? And I seen one of my lieutenants laying on the ground, dirty, not clean, been in Afghanistan, been in different places. We picked him up and got him squared away to come back, and his family left him, his children left him. That's when me, Rick, Robert, at that time, Councilman Mitchell, Tiger, and a group of us got together and wrote the city charter. Read the city charter. But nothing in that city charter allows us to do what we're supposed to do for veterans. Why are we being hated? Why? Right now, we haven't been mentioned how many veterans we already trained here at the school. How many civilians of the community we trained here at the school. I didn't mention it. Ruth didn't mention it. But anybody else didn't mention it. It's the kitchen they're going to give something to. That's the nonprofit we ever want to talk about. Why? We're doing the things that the city of Baltimore needs to be proud of. Rick ended up being a deputy secretary for the state of Maryland. Nobody knew that either. Hope with the Baltimore City. We support the mayor if he really knew what we do. We're going to make sure he knows what we do. Take a tour of the building. See how we are. See the things that we help to do. See my brother's program upstairs. See us helping this entire area. See about the problems they have in this building from the school area. Smoke and reefer. We have the Department of Labor and Service coming into the building and smoke all over the place. We challenge them. The military challenge them because we know how to challenge young teenagers. We will knock them upside his head and stop the violence. We can do a lot of things in this area to prevent that. That's why we're here, for the security of this neighborhood. Are we talked about? No. Even when I'm at home or in the city of Baltimore, I see something wrong for the city and give the children the things what they need to do, they never say anything about it. Do the city know also we have a clothing program? We have a clothing program we give out to the people within the community. The city of Baltimore that we gave out the Christmas toys to kids in this neighborhood, nobody came to us and says, thank you to veterans to us. No one objected to let us know anything about the contract, the BCBC charter. That's in the charter. We were ordered to do that. How did we get that order? Let me explain to you how. Major General Linda Singh came to Tiger, me, and members of the 231st Battalion at the Winchester Street Army and said, this is what I want y'all to do. And it was an order. She told us what to do. I want y'all to get together. I want y'all to get a building. I want you to work harder for the veterans. I want you to do things for the veterans. This is the same black Lieutenant General, Major General rather, that ended up being the first female to handle the Maryland Army National Guard. We trained her also. She came back and told us now what to do, and we're doing exactly that. So everybody can sit down and wait and not say what the veterans doing. We're doing a lot for the community. We're doing a lot for the veterans, and we need the help of the city of Baltimore to recognize what veterans really do. That's what's not being done. I'm not sitting up here to chit-chat about what veterans do. It's happening right now to poor veterans, homeless veterans, the homeless department. Even members of your own city council or the planning department is one of our colonels. Also a member of the National Association of Black Veterans. Also a member of the 231st Transportation. Always wear so many different hats here. We end up for the past 15 years now, close to 5,000 some people have ever been to these conferences. Maryland National Association of Black Veterans, 231st Transportation. The mayor's aware of us, but he doesn't know how much we've already done. He needs to come here and see this. The council needs to come and see this. We should not be in a battle for a kitchen. We should be in a battle for people, veterans. Thank y'all so much.
Thank you, First Sergeant. One of the things that he really outlined some of the things that make the fact that the veterans in this building is so important. And we don't want them to lose their space to a kitchen project for them to expand and take away the services that these veterans provide. We have to not only applaud them for what they're doing. We applaud them for being partners with us.
I just one thing, I didn't forget to mention, just one thing that Judge Baldwin never said. Also, if you look around this building, the furniture and stuff you're sitting in right now, you go upstairs on the third floor and this floor, was donated by the Naval Academy. The Naval got involved, the Secretary of State got involved, the governor got involved. So we're not by ourselves about this. I'm sorry.
Right, that's quite all right, and I'll reiterate that. The seats that you're sitting in came from the Naval Academy. The desks in a lot of the classrooms, the seating, all came from Armed Forces, Naval Academy, and GSA. So we have partnered with folks that that really believe in us. The state believes in us. One of the things that people don't understand, when we moved into this building, we started with a $115,000 grant to do training in IT, cybersecurity. We secured a second $100,000 grant from the state. This past year, that our state grant increased from $100,000 to $271,000. That's how much they believe in this program. And we're already have submitted our grant funding for upcoming year, which, as Ms. Perkins indicated, for the trainings that we're going to be doing, the cybersecurity, the solar panel training, cable installation, elevator technician, the culinary incubator piece, and the entrepreneur training for t-shirt manufacturing. All of those things are incorporated in the grant that we are getting from the state, as well as another grant that we're getting. And to be a school, a private career school, that is now being ready to service the GI Bill will catapult us into the self-sufficiency that the city wants us to have in order to lease this building. And we're trying to get them to move on that action so that we can move forward. As the pandemic eases up, we're still not there yet. And I don't anticipate us stop wearing masks probably until next year. But we operate our IT program on a hybrid basis. Sometimes they're in class, sometimes they're online, because of the fact that we want to protect our students as well as our instructors. So we're doing everything that we can to make this work in the middle of a pandemic situation. And we want the city to recognize it. And I make a formal invitation to our mayor to come out and walk this building, to talk with our partners, specifically to come one evening when our IT class is going on. We had to purchase plexiglass partitions in between all of the computers to make sure our students were safe. We're doing everything we can to make this a successful operation. And we just want the public to know that we're not just a program, as Mr. Perkins said. We are an accredited private career school. The classes that you take here can be transferred to a 4-year or 2-year college, depending on which program that you're in. Our certifications in IT are A+, Network Plus, Security Plus, and we also are a Cisco Academy as well. CompTIA is a partner of ours. So we have a lot going on here, and we want the city to be behind us and not against us in what we're doing. And it's probably a lack of information. We have reached out to the city, but they have yet to come visit this building. And we will continue to reach out because we know that we need them as a partner.
They've all walked through the building, don't forget.
Say that again?
They all, comptroller's office, they've all walked through the building, they've all seen.
The comptroller's office, but everybody knows the buck stops at the mayor. The buck stops at the mayor, and we want him to come and see what we're doing. Hopefully, Councilman, you can put a word in for that and get that to happen shortly, because we need to get this lease on paper so that we can bring our partners in to do the build out, to build the revenue that will give us the opportunity to take the onus off of the city. The IG office said that we cost the city, let's see, I want to make sure I got the figure right. A combined $85,000 in annual revenue that the city did not get if they were charging us $1.85 per square foot. If the city gave us our lease, there would be no cost to the city. That's the brunt of it. And initially, they even recognized the fact that we were supposed to get the school for $1. Then they came up with this plan to charge $1.85, and we want them to understand that that is not feasible, nor is it feasible until we have a grace period to do the build, finish the build out, and bring our partners in. But that means that we have to have a long-term lease in order to do that. If there are questions, I'll be glad to field any questions.
Explain that our partners are training partners. They're training partners.
Well, yes, the partners that we're bringing in are training partners. But we also we're working with the Department of Housing and several banks that we might partner with them to develop housing in and around the area. One of the things that we want to do is buffer the school with stable housing, temporary housing for veterans. One of the things that reason we got involved with the GI Bill is because veterans come with dollars. Housing for veterans, they come with dollars. And banks are eager to support veterans. If we develop a community of veterans around this school, think how secure this building would become, how stable this community would become. And so we're looking to move, not only do things inside the building, but we're looking to do things on the outside in the community as well. Developing small businesses. Michael Jackson, who operates our mentorship piece, is a business owner here in the community. He actually operates his business just a few blocks, walking distance from here. So we're looking to build other community resources and other businesses in this area that will stabilize this community. Ms. Perkins, you want to come back and say the last words?
Like Sean speak.
Oh, okay. Sean is, come on. I don't know your exact title.
No, it's okay. I don't really have one. That's all right.
I understand.
just,
Titles don't mean anything. It's all
No, not at all. I think I'm just a humble servant of the veterans. But my name is Sean Redden. I'm a former staff sergeant in the United States Army. I spent 37 months in Iraq. At that point, it was just about roughly half of my adult life I spent there. I've been out for 5 years, and I represent one of 2.7 million post 9/11 veterans. It's the largest population of veterans since World War II, the largest. And right now we're having a tremendous issue, one that my colleague and I are fighting, and that's veteran suicide. The current rate of veteran suicide right now is 22 a day. 22. It's sad. It's disheartening. And it even makes me emotional standing up here because I fight hard for this. And I sit here and I listen to it, and it just stirs me up inside to think that we have to fight for this. It blows my mind. Excuse my language, but I'm just speaking, bluntly right now. But it's three things that happen or that we see that's an issue with veterans that commit suicide. And one of them is meaningful work, access to compensatory funds, which is their veteran benefits, and 3, mental health services. Those are 3 things that are being provided on that first floor. all three of them. And when you start to talk about it and you give the facts, it's hard to kind of like gather where a person can kind of go against that, you know? So, you know, veteran service organizations are very important to the United States. There's about 42,000 of them, and less than a third actually deal with this type of stuff. So when you kind of put it all together and you really think about it, you say to yourself, you know, these are programs that we need. These are programs that are starting to dissipate amongst us, you know? And myself and my colleague, we represent, like I said, the post 9/11 era. And the gentlemen that are on the board, I'm a commissioner too. I know I'm not really dressed that way. This is kind of how I roll. But, you know, this is the Vietnam veteran era. And they've been fighting, they've been doing everything they have to do to get to where they are today. And my colleague and I are going to pick up that mantle. We're going to go forward with it. And right now, you probably see this camera right now, but we're shooting a documentary. And it's called War in My Mind. It's about veteran suicide. And hopefully it'll be out this year, but this is something that really is on our heart, and we want to take to the next level. So when they called and were talking to us about this, and these are the programs that we fight for every day, the programs that we go to bat with anybody for, providing data, anything you can think of, it's right there in their faces. So I want to really, really encourage, you know, city council, the mayor, to please connect with us. We're the next generation. Afghanistan is over. And I'm not if you've been keeping up with the news, there's going to be a pullout. That's 2.7 million veterans that are about to be here in the next 6 months to a year. And I'll just be completely, you know, frank with you. Baltimore City is not a veteran-friendly city. It's truly not. I just want to be straight up with you. It's not Texas. It's not Texas. We don't have all the abilities that Texas gives to their veterans. There's states like this. We want to make this one of those states. We're right next to one of the two hugest posts. Why do they get out of the Army and leave this area? Why would they do that? You know what I mean? And like the gentleman was saying here, you know, these communities are ripe for veterans. They should be here. This is how you get security in the neighborhoods, when you put veterans around. But I won't go too much into it, and I'll leave some for my partner to talk about. But I hope that kind of put things into perspective for you guys, and hopefully, you know, we can move forward and we can all work together to get these things rolling. So I appreciate your time. Thank you for letting me speak, and I'll hand it over to
How y'all guys doing? I'm Andy Pierre, also a commissioner on the Baltimore City Veterans Commission. And I'm going to try to put a bow on this thing here for us. It's like we're looking at the problem as it stands is about somewhere between 22 to 25 veterans a day commit suicide. Veterans make up about 12% of the homeless population here in Baltimore City. And 1 out of 15 veterans are suffering from a substance abuse issue, right? And so to top all of that, we got millions of veterans who aren't getting their benefits. What's the solution? Is what we've been working on, what Tiger Davis has started, and what Sean and I are continuing to fight for, is a more solid, holistic reintegration program that works on all levels. Right? Uncle Sam has failed over the years with their transition assistance process. They, you know, hey, sign your paperwork, you put you out there in the street. But at the end of the day, the city, the state, we have a responsibility to returning veterans to create and support programs like ISS, because at the end of the day, ISS, they're an ally. At the commission, we can't do this work by ourselves. We're not funded. The charter says we're supposed to get $188,000 a year. We don't get none of it, but yet we still fight this battle. We still go in and do it. Why and how? Because of programs like I'm Still Standing and all the other partners that we have in the veterans community. Right now, does that make it right? No, but we make it work. And so if we're going to, we could talk all of this. It sounds good to get in front of a camera and say, oh yeah, you know, we're trying to end veterans homelessness. We're going to try to end veterans suicide. But it's all talk unless we are all working together. For the private sector, the government is all working together here. And so we're setting the example, right, at the commission, where we're working with ISS, and we're working on, we got the first floor, and they allow our veterans to attend their programs. That's how we deliver on that mission, is by partnering up with smaller organizations like ISS and other organizations. NABVETS brings things together. We all do all of that. By working together, we can fill in where the government needs to be funding us to do it. Straight up. So, to put a bow on it, we know the failures is all about and I hate to just talk about the veterans, because yes, Baltimore City has a whole bunch of different problems, right? But at the end of the day, bringing in the post 9/11 veterans and making Baltimore a more friendly city for post 9/11 veterans, that is actually would be ideal, right? Because at the end of the day, you got 40,000 plus vacant homes. You got got somebody coming out with their home loan certification. You got, they're coming in there, let's say they come here with the GI Bill, they're getting a paycheck to go to school, and they got their home loan certification. What can they do? They can buy that house, that vacant, and you know what? Putting $100,000 into rebuilding it and fixing it isn't a stretch. It can be done. It's feasible. But we're not bringing in the veterans, the people who could help rebuild this city, the people who have historically helped rebuild the Black community. It's veterans. I mean, every time we come back from the war, we bring our benefits back to the hood. We build up the hood. I mean, at the end of the day, we got to make Baltimore a veteran city. We need to make Baltimore more attractive to veterans. We need to bring them in. And one of the things, so with this documentary that we're working on to try to end veteran suicide, one of the big asking points that we have is we want the veteran reintegration program that we have dreamed up, me and Sean, to be like the final duty station. Coming out the military, I want to leave the military. Instead of just, hey, come here, come to the office, sign up, and pack your bags, and now you can get orders to go to one more duty station, Baltimore City. We re-gear you. You can choose to stay in Baltimore, buy a house, go to work on the police force, go to work wherever, come here, or you can come to a program like ISS, learn IT, learn elevator maintenance, and all of the different skills that are marketable skills. So that, because a guy who spent the last 10, 12 years in the military as a gunner, that's not really something you can really sell here. I mean, so there's in the midst of all of this problem, there's an opportunity here for Baltimore City to not only to be the standard bearer for veteran reintegration. And that's why, I hope that we can get some help here for that. And taking away the first floor from us will definitely set us back leaps and bounds. I mean, you think about it, getting to this point took Delegate Davis, Robert Guy, Chester, 18 years to get to this point, to where we can have this partnership to send our veterans in need to get re-geared and retooled so that they can go out here and actually be on their feet. So the thought of committing suicide is not plausible for them. They just look at it, I can't commit suicide. I have too much to live for. We got to give them something to live for. So something to think about. Thank you.
Before I bring Ms. Perkins back, one of the things that was said to both her and I a while back was, if it's the right thing to do it right. And that's what we want to do. Ms. Perkins.
I'm sitting. Uh-oh.
Yeah, thank you. Andy, thank you. Sean, thank you for your words. Bruce, everyone else. Okay. From day one, a lot of people don't know that I know from day one how this started. From day one, how this started. This started with me and Robert Guy having a conversation, talking about what benefits we can take advantage of from the military. Now, in 1918, there was a war over in Europe. And Marylanders went to that war and died from all counties in Baltimore City. In recognition of their sacrifice, they built a beautiful edifice called the War Memorial Building. And it's facing City Hall. In the middle, they built a plaza. That plaza stayed there, and all they did was cut the grass and put little programs in it, golf putting shows and things like that, or whatever. Then Mayor O'Malley was elected, and he said, I want to do something with this plaza because it looks shabby and it represents veterans. So we need to do something with it. So he formed a committee to refurbish War Memorial Plaza. I was on that committee. And after the plaza, and I also found out that Mayor O'Malley's father was a bombardier pilot during World War II. So he has a vested interest and knowledge of what veterans have sacrificed to go through wars. So after the plaza was refurbished, we had a ceremony. We recognized, we went through the records and found out how many veterans worked for the City of Baltimore. And the culmination of the completion of that plaza was to give every veteran a coin for their service in the military working for the City of Baltimore. At that time, a young lady named Takara Green was over in Iraq, and she was one of the first females to be killed. Her father was security at the front door of City Hall for many, many years. So after the ceremony, which was a great ceremony, we all loved it. After that ceremony concluded, and having worked on that panel, I approached the panel members and said, as well as the mayor, and said, well, now that you recognize veterans, because keep in mind, at that time, Veterans Day was not even recognized in the City of Baltimore. Veterans didn't celebrate Veterans Day in the City of Baltimore at that time. Okay? So I said, well, now that we've recognized veterans, if a veteran who works for the City of Baltimore has a question, where do they go? Well, you know, if you're in the Army and you ask that question, you know what happens, right? You get tagged with it. So I got tagged with being the first executive director of Baltimore City's Veterans Commission in Baltimore City. I'm working with the state of New York. I'm working with finding out that we had heroes that lived here in Baltimore that were spies during World War II. We even went to the CIA building on a special tour. You know, Robert couldn't make for some reason. You know, but we were special guests of the CIA because of illustrious people that worked in World War II as a spy from Baltimore. We have an illustrious history. You know, the birthplace of the Star Spangled Banner, Fort McHenry, is still recognized all over the world. You know, Frederick Douglass, so many illustrious things. So we started meeting, and so that we wouldn't get chastised or penalized, we would meet on our lunch break. And sometimes I would buy the hot dogs, and sometimes somebody else would buy the hot dogs. And we would meet so that we wouldn't get in trouble on our lunch break and plot what's the next thing we should do for veterans. And we met there so much that we commandeered the Bob Watts room out of the War Memorial Building. And nobody has since said, you got to get out, because they know it's going to be a fight if they put us out of that building. And we continued on, and that's how we first got started and how we continued to grow. Now, every Wednesday at noon, we would always ask members of the city council, and Councilman, I want you to hear this. We would ask members of the city council to come join us so you could hear the plight of veterans in your city, what they're going through, what their families are going through, how we can best assist them. Nobody came over. Every Wednesday, I'm a pain in the ass, a pain in the ass. Come over and hear what is going on with your fellow veterans, your employees, and their families, and how their families are being adversely affected. Kiefer Mitchell got tired of it and said, okay, I'm coming. Kiefer came over, listened to our plight. We gave him an earful too. He said, well, I know what you guys need. You guys need a bill. So he submitted a bill to city council. and every member of the city council unanimously signed a bill establishing a Baltimore City Veterans Commission. We also at that time negotiated that we would give up Lincoln's birthday so that we could have Veterans Day. Remember, we weren't celebrating Veterans Day in Baltimore City. You know, you're a veteran, so yeah, so go. Celebrate on your own. Do what you got to do. We gave up Veterans Day. We gave up Lincoln's birthday so we could have Veterans Day in Baltimore City. And we took Washington's Day and made it President's Day so we could celebrate the presidents, Lincoln and Washington and the other ones. So that's how we got started. And from there, we, as veterans, as you guys know, you veterans, you know, once we get started, once we get a task, we don't give it up. You have to kill us, because we ain't gonna roll over and die. But Councilman, where's the workforce development and funds? You know, everybody can get everything else. We've seen where, what's this group that's out here that's out there trying to stop the violence? How they've gotten money. The veterans over here, we had money. We could spend our own money, and folks just turn their backs on us. You know. Now, as far as this young lady's program downstairs, I don't begrudge her trying to make $1 or a program or want to be successful in what she wants to do. If she can do it, fine. But can you imagine, Councilman? We're going to have a viable program that's going to bring in parole and probation, judges, professional people, and we're going to have children downstairs. And Colonel, you know what I'm talking about. Those children downstairs are cussing, are smoking, are doing things that they shouldn't be doing with lack to little or no supervision from time to time. That doesn't make us look good. That puts a tainted face on us. We want to be successful. When you step to us, we want to always be successful and always step out front. You tell Bernard, who's in the first care, about shortchanging stuff. You tell Sean, you know, you tell Chester or Robert, combat veterans, you know. I myself, tell us about shortchanging. We ain't gonna do it. It's not gonna happen. But where's the support? You know, and every time we take a step, we have to fight. We don't want to fight. We don't want to fight. We want your support. We see this area around here as a mecca. It's a diamond in the rough. It's perfectly positioned where you can have egress to and from Washington, D.C., Philadelphia, I-95. It's on the main corridor. Every one of us veterans in here have in our pocket a GI Bill that certifies that we can get a house under the GI Bill, that certifies that we can start a business under the GI Bill, that certifies that we can get education under the GI Bill. We're not coming to the table empty-handed. We're coming to the table with resources to help not just ourselves, because when we help ourselves, you know who we help? We help the city of Baltimore, we help our families, and we help our extended families, we help the community. That's where we're coming from. And then we can reach out to those kids, Colonel, that you passionately care about, and help those kids, because if we could do it, and we can show them that we could do it, then we can set an example for them to follow in our steps. And if you think this is bad, what's happening in Baltimore now, you already heard the president say, and you just heard Andy say or Sean say that in the next several months, I think September, all those troops in Iraq are coming back home. And so far, we got Annette and we got Bernard and maybe some others. When they start surging back here and finding about where we are and what we're providing, maybe they'll come and talk to Annette and Bernard and say, hey, what are my rights? What are my benefits? What do I qualify for? You know, there's a huge problem, not just with drugs, but with substance abuse. You know, I could go on, but you know, don't give me this microphone if you don't want me to talk. Okay, but Councilman, I sincerely, with all my heart, implore you that when you look at what we are attempting to do, when you look at what this brave, courageous lady has done. You know, we're not trying to do anything to that program downstairs. We think that program downstairs could be viable. But do you want your son in here with a bunch of veterans? You want your children in here with grown men who have come from war, who suffer with PTSD, who may slap the taste out your face at any moment because you said hi? I don't think so. I think there's room for everybody, but just not in this building. Thank you.
Would you like to say something?
Well, I'm just gonna say good afternoon, everyone. I've heard what you said. Again, I'm Councilman John Bullock, representing 9th District, West and Southwest. So call me Doc. So I go with doctorate. But what I will say, I hear your plight. I've had a lot of conversations with Ms. Perkins and have been in this building before and toured and seen some of the work that's being done here. I'm going to look further into what's going on in terms of the investigator general or inspector general, excuse me, then also looking the Office of Real Estate and trying to connect with the mayor's office. What I can also share with you is that what you say is very near and dear to me, because I'm also the son of 2 veterans, one of whom was a disabled veteran before she passed away, 2 Army vets. And so I understand, what you're talking about in terms of benefits, in terms of access, in terms of resource, and also being reintegrated back into society, in terms of workforce issues and mental health and substance abuse. And I've had family members who struggled with that as well. So again, I understand this is a very serious situation. As an educator, I recognize this is also an educational institution as well. And so I know I've had conversations with folks on the other side of the building, and I think it's important for us to make sure that the city honors its commitment. And you talked about that from a space point of view and from a resource point of view. And so that's my commitment, to continue to work with you, being a point of contact and hopefully finding a positive resolution to the situation. So again, thank you for having me here today. Thank you for your passion and your drive. And I will say, even to our younger brothers, I also have 2 college friends, fraternity brothers who are both veterans, one in Iraq and one in Afghanistan. And so I think about what they're dealing with and what their families have been dealing with. And fortunately, they've come out on the other side better. But again, there are things that challenge all of us, whether we're family members, friends, spouses of veterans. And so I really appreciate what you're doing in terms of talking about the issue of suicide and lifting that up, because there are a lot of challenges, PTSD and everything that comes along with that, and depression and isolation, especially during this time of COVID. And so I understand it's also been difficult in terms of the partnerships and the training and the resources that you're looking to do during this time period. But again, my commitment to you is working together. And I know you made reference to Kyle Leggs in the planning department. And again, I'm also a city planner, and we've had a number of conversations around the work that you're doing. And I appreciate your vision for the surrounding neighborhood. I think it is a diamond in the rough, and I think there are some assets that we can build upon. So again, appreciate your time here today, and continue to look at me as a partner, and I look forward to working with you some more. So take care now.
Mr. Hackler, would you like to say something? You'd just like to sit there and I just wanted you to listen. Can I say something? Oh, you're here. I would say no, girl. Introduce yourself.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Annette Mann, and I'm the VSO officer here at I'm Still Standing. And I just wanted to share with you, Councilman, that this is a one-stop shopping save. And when I say save, we're saving many of lives, many of families that's out in our community that needs to be rebuilt. I used to work at Fort Meade, and I did the transition for Fort Meade of helping bring soldiers back in and how to adapt to the community. So it's dear to me that this organization here is home away from home, and they're here to build individuals who feel less than because of what they've been through. PTSD, most people think it's a mental thing. It doesn't necessarily mean mental. It could be anxiety. Something in the community could trigger this individual and take them out of where they know they need to be. But they know how to regroup when they're around people who love them and generally care for their needs and what they're going to do out in the community. Not be a minister to the community, but help build the community. People that are homeless, 1 and 2, we may get a few of them that comes back and start to see reality for what it is. Because most of Vietnam era, they didn't care about what happened to the soldier when they came back. They didn't have open arms to them, bringing them back and saying, thank you for the work you've done. No, they kicked them to the curb. So majority of them feel like, hey, you ain't giving me nothing. Why should I believe in the VA to help rebuild me when they did this to me? Now you telling me that they got this for me and they're going to do? No. So when we go out in the community, it's hard for us to get those Vietnam veterans because they feel like they've been left behind so long. You don't really care about me. But I convinced them just to give me one chance. Just give me one chance to try to get you your benefits. I bring them into here. They sit down. They open up their hearts and they pour it out. And I listen. I take notes. And I take each step and try to rebuild that person as a whole, because he do mean something. He served his time. He gave his time. And you're going to treat him like this? No. Something is owed to that veteran. How much? I don't know. But I will find out. I will take time and investigate and try to give them what they deserve. Here, we are one-stop shop and save. We got Veterans Court. We got a community that wants to help out whenever they can. We all linking up and coming together and standing strong. Why? Because we want those soldiers to know we appreciate what they've done for us, how they built us and kept us safe. So now it's time for us to rebuild them and give them what they need. You know, it's every time we turn around, it's like, what's going on? Nobody wants to help. Everybody talking a good game, but when it's time to put up, you don't see anybody. But now we got something that's going on right here. The other organization that's here, it's a good organization. I'm not disputing that. But the supervision, it's not there. Us being in the military, we know our chain of command. We know what steps to take to get where we need to be. But putting both of these groups here, and for veterans that's coming in on that lower floor, you know, they know the chain of command. If they don't like what they see, they're going to be running because they're not doing what they're supposed to do. And nobody's overseeing these young ones. You know, it's just kids raising kids. And you could hear some profanity that would take you to another level. But you try not to pay attention to it, and you try to get the organization to nip it in the bud. They're running too because they're scared of them. They don't know what they're going to do. But here we work together in the community, around the community, and from all angles, from city to city, trying to do what's best for our veterans. And we've been working hard. Prince George County, we have NABVETS organization all over the place, and we're sharing our information to try to make our people strong to do what they need to do to build our community. I thank you for stopping in. I thank you for listening to us, and hopefully we can come together and build a foundation for everybody that's coming out. I'm a military brat too, but you know, I went to Kuwait later on in my numbers, but we're not going to talk about that. But I'm telling you, anybody that goes to war, it's another world. And it's not what people see on TV. It's 10 times that amount. And for me to go through that, Lord, I thank God I came back. And that's why I'm dedicating my time to help all veterans, regardless of what color or where you come from. You come to me, we're going to deal with you and try to get you what you deserve. And thank you so much for coming out to listen. Thank you.
I apologize after run, but what I will say is what you just said, it touched me in a very deep way because think about my father's experience. And he was drafted in 70, and so he came home and talked about his experience, and even we tried to get him benefits and go to the VA. Found was a barrier there, so being able to speak to something that's real. Thank you.
I'll be in touch.
All right, cool. So thank you so much.
Thank you. I just want to thank everyone for coming. What we tried to do, only thing that you hear about I'm still standing is something negative. When you have most of City Hall that's been here, walked through, seen what we've done, talked to us, and still nothing has been done. So I wanted the veterans to have the opportunity for them to help save their floor, what they're doing for the human services and how they're serving the veterans. I thank you all for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you, Donnie, for having us on your live feed.
Do we have a song?
We will talk to you afterwards. And if you need to call me, please give me a call. If you need some further information, and we will talk offline. All right? Thank you very much. And I'm going to sign off now. Thank you.